Welcome to the Red Review with me, Jeremy Brim. The Red Review is brought to you by Growth Ignition, the transformation and capability development business, all in the work-winning space, and the Bid Toolkit, its product set in bid process and training videos. So hello and welcome to the Red Review podcast with me, Jeremy Brim. Welcome back, first episode of 2025, and an exciting one, tackling one of the big subjects, I guess, AI, with my friend Javier. So welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
No worries at all. Great to have you along. So we haven't done one of these for a while, actually, of a vendor conversation who's got something interesting going on. So I'll have to brush myself off and make sure I ask the right questions. So would you mind, sir, do a little bit of an introduction, give us your sort of background, current role, and then we'll get into things.
Sure. So, I like to call myself an engineer who loves proposals, because I'm actually an aerospace engineer who started working in the European space industry in technical stuff like engineering stuff. So after a few years in very technical positions, I moved to project management and then business development. But the thing with the business development in this particular industry is that it's just a sort of sexy name for a job that is 80% about building consortiums and managing proposals to win big government contracts. So that's in that role is where I sort of learn RFPs, bidding, and what's our profession. Then I quit that job, started full-time freelancing as a proposal manager. At that point of time, wasn't anymore about just aerospace, but most of my clients were American tech and engineering companies. There's more like small businesses that need help with RFPs and proposals. And I did like that for like 4 years full time, until I saw how good AI was becoming and decided to launch DeepRFP, sort of with this idea of bringing advancements of AI to our profession. And so now that I founded DeepRFP like 1 year before ChatGPT happened. And so that's that's kind of I use that as a joke sometimes, because at that point in time, this was this idea of using AI for proposals was like a very small need. Like literally, we were like 3 or 4, 5 maybe companies exploring this worldwide. But then after ChatGPT happened in November 2022, the space sort of boom to a point where I just don't sort of count them anymore. Like, every week you have someone trying to do something with AI in proposals, trying to wrap ChatGPT APIs to do some big product. So that's sort of my background. One important thing to note is that I still keep running the services business, sort of this freelancing for proposals business. But right now, that's more like a laboratory for testing things, how, testing use cases, seeing what works in the, in real life, in bidding real life. But the priority is DeepRFP, is to feed those use cases into tools, into technology and software.
Very good. So, your product's DeepRFP. So tell us about it. I guess where did the idea come from? Bearing in mind, like you say, it was before that big kind of bubble of ChatGPT, before everybody really started down this line. What was the kind of epiphany moment? And then tell us about what the platform does.
Sure. So the moment I realized was in that summer. Autumn 2021, something like that. I just, I've been, being an engineer, I, always play with tech and software, and I'm always interested in this stuff. And also, in that point in time, I was full-time involved in doing bid management and bid writing for customers. So, and I just wanted to optimize stuff like in the thing I was providing the services. And so always had this sort of intuition about AI, about software automation, for doing some of the repetitive tasks that I was having to do manually back those years, and then just discovered almost by chance what was at that time GPT-3, which was this model that started to look very well, but still, very down compared with what we have today. But sort of the predecessor of what ended to be ChatGPT. So I started with playing those models with OpenAI, which at the time wasn't a very well-known company. So it sort of had that idea like, okay, this is going this direction. So why don't we basically try to exploit that to my service business? And that was sort of the original idea. But then it started to take form. Decided to make the to take the step to build sort of start prototyping something with the commercial mindset and building tools. And so that was sort of the origin of the company. But right now, DeepRFP is the best way of thinking about DeepRFP is a kit of different AI tools and AI agents that are sort of like mini applications or mini apps focused on solving very specific use cases. And those are use cases I have seen myself when I was full-time doing this, but also I see peers need every day. And so we have tools for writing responses to requirements. We have tools for editing and reviewing. We have now virtual subject matter experts, sort of having AI playing the role of an engineer or a technical expert instead of just a big writer or big manager. So we have these mini tools that are optimized for doing one specific thing only, and users can run these tools like as in a kit. You just have this need, you go to that tool, run it, get your outputs, keep moving. So that's for the tools part. Also, recently we have launched AI agents, which is these are live since November last year, so 2024. So pretty new. We have a set that work with analyzing RFPs and generating full reports on that analysis of that RFP, reports that look like compliance matrices, but can be about anything actually. And the scope of the analysis is free. And then we also have agents to sort of draft full proposals. So this idea of, because that's something that users have been demanding, like since I started DeepRFP until basically today, there is this need for this use case where you just upload your RFP, upload your winning points or your past proposal or whatever, and you get a full draft, like 50-page draft that is 70% ready. It's not your final proposal, but you don't need to be sort of iterating with the with the AI as you would do when using tools or using chatbots and copilots. So that's the way of thinking about DeepRFP, is this kit of tools and agents.
Interesting. So how is it different from just using ChatGPT or from the platforms in the space that are developing?
Yeah, so well, I like to think of DeepRFP more in comparison with the rest of the professional tools in the space, and not so much with end consumer applications like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. And anyhow, there are like mainly three ways in which DeepRFP is different. The first one is we focus on solving real use cases. So it's not about which AI model powers what, but the use case. Okay, so our priority is to solve a real use case in bidding and proposals. And then for that, sometimes in order to do that very well, we need to use a proprietary model, or we need to use an open source model that we customize for that particular use case, or we can use a third-party model that we have sort of focus on solving that particular use case with documentation and samples, etc. So that's one key difference, is that we are not trying to, first, we are not tied to any AI provider or whatever, but that our priority is to solve the real use case in bidding. And we don't really care much about the technical stuff as long as it solves the problem. So that's one. The other way DeepRFP is different. The second one is that we don't train any AI model on users' data. And to ensure that because some vendor could promise that, but to ensure that that is actually the case, we don't even keep or save the data from users' runs. And so and that's one way of protecting the to ensuring confidentiality and protecting proprietary info. Because even if imagine your company, like the company gets acquired in the future, that new management like cannot train AI on your data because we didn't save your data. And that's that actually was a hard hit to take regarding marketing, because it's it sells. If I tell you that a tool is going to learn from usage and it's going to be better with your use, etc., but for that I need to keep your data, and then that there is a risk of sometime down the road that data used for training AI models. That's like the part of DeepRFP learning. When you use it, it's a good marketing hook. So we had to compromise that to renounce to that in order to ensure the confidential data. And that's actually a big difference between DeepRFP and what I'm seeing other vendors do in the space. And then finally, and this is more like type of user or type of market we are after. A big way in which DeepRFP is different is that we are focused on, like, if you can imagine software as a service in different quadrants. You have these very expensive solutions that are after the enterprise deal, that need to a sales force to pursue those deals, and then you try to get someone in a multi-year lock-in contract because complex software, enterprise level, whatever. So we are in the opposite corner of the quadrant. We are like very affordable, self-serving, no risk deal, part of the software industry. So basically we offer a pure software as a service experience where anyone can get a free trial, then upgrade to a plan with just a credit card. And if you're not happy with that, you just cancel it. You can do monthly billing, so you can cancel it after a month, and that's it. There is no big risk, no big investment, and you could be using DeepRFP without having to talk to anyone in sales, or even have a demo. And this is the reason that why DeepRFP is very popular among small businesses, freelancers, and some mid-sized companies. Also, regarding this, of course, we still do demos. Like if someone asks for the demo or you need some customization, we have done that a couple of times. But most of the time, this is this idea of this is a easy to use, self-service, very low risk software. And one evidence of that, one proof of that, is that our pricing is public. So you could go today to the website, check the prices for the clients. Something that it's not that common in the other vendors that are trying to go after this enterprise type of deal. So yeah, that that's sort of the three ways in which DeepRFP is different from what I see in the RFP and proposal space.
And that's really interesting. So so you're different from ChatGPT, as in your platform's only looking inside the company's data. It's not sharing the data externally, is it? It's just focused on the lens on the company stuff.
That's for sure. The confidentiality part, we improve on what end consumer applications do, but also it's very different from ChatGPT and other copilots or chatbots. Is because the user experience is also different. So what we have is these two parts of the tool, the kit. So we have tools. Those tools look more like a web form where you just provide your inputs and run it, and you don't need to care about anything else. You just get these, the output from that. And you have different tools optimized for different use cases. So depending on what you want to do, you need to choose the tool, run it with your inputs, and you get the output. But you don't need to learn sort of how that AI works or iterate with it, sort of work on how you're talking to the AI, how you're directing the work. It's more like one-off tools, like here are my inputs, give me my response or my summary or my edit or my technical approach, whatever you're doing. And then the other one is running agents, and the agents are even easier to run because it's just about selecting the right agent, uploading the documents, the inputs, which are full files in the case of agents, and just run it. And then you go for a coffee or whatever because it takes a few minutes to complete, and then you go back and get your output. And the feeling is more like working with a remote coworker than actually running tools. That's we will talk about that in a minute, but basically that's what I think I'm bullish on the agents idea. So it's not only about data, it's not only about pricing, it's also the user experience is different in the way that people are using chatbots or copilots.
Interesting. No, thank you. So yeah, because it can be an expensive game onboarding a platform like this at a corporate big enterprise level, and so I think you've probably got quite a smart plan in terms of a free trial and monthly billing and all of that kind of stuff, transparent pricing. I think that's really clever actually, and because there is that, it will be very handy for people to be able to dip their toe in the water and really be able to see what this stuff can do if it's their first time out, beyond looking at just using Copilot or something. So I think that's quite clever.
And also, since I've been building DeepRFP, as I told you, like the whole project started like 1 year before ChatGPT happened. We were getting a lot of leads also from the corporate world, like the enterprise level. Like we have talked with very big companies about this AI thing before ChatGPT and after ChatGPT happened. But as a small business, you realize like that's sort of not your game, and so I think it's the right strategy for us, but also is sort of the structure and the business that you need to put in place in order to go after those enterprise deals. That requires a whole different approach to business, and also it changes your pricing drastically. And what I'm seeing happening in particular our space, but also it's literally in every software as a service in the B2B world, is like companies that go for that often raise fund from venture capital.
Yeah.
And that raising requires them to go after those enterprise deals, and then you need to build the sales team. You need to have your account managers, your sales reps. You need to pursue aggressively to these executives to try to close deals in the in the ranges of $100,000, and so it's a whole different game that we basically are not trying even to play. And so, but yeah, in the other part of that space, we are very comfortable doing this more sort of easy software for building teams that doesn't break your budget and is very transparent from the beginning. We are not charging anyone differently because the pricing are public. And you don't have the hassle and the risk of selecting this vendor because I'm going to be committing for 3 years contract because this is sort of and I need to onboard all my stakeholders or whatever. It's a different game. Like the small businesses need more like quicker solutions than that. And I just hate go to some software company, try to use the tool or whatever, and the only way to move forward is booking a sales demo with someone and then move to the next one and the next one until the third iteration you don't get the pricing and the quote. It's like it's for me it's I don't like that personally, and also why I focus DeepRFP in this segment.
Oh, I understand. That's quite smart. And to be honest, I have mixed feelings about private equity and all of that space anyway. It's a really powerful tool for unlocking growth in certain ways, but as a business owner or a leader, it's quite I think it's quite stressful. It's not for me. I mean, I get people approach me all the time. I was an authorized trainer with the APMP until the middle of last year, and I left because of a difference of views, let's say, and people approach me all the time. Will I start a competitor to APMP? And there's a dramatic business opportunity for somebody. It would be easy to absolutely destroy them and do a fantastic job, better quality, good integrity, all of that kind of stuff, because they've got some cornerstone issues that it would be easy to overpower them on. But you would need big money behind you, private equity stuff, the same as the kind of big software as a service lot, and you'd have to go after lots of big corporate deals, like you say, corporate memberships and all of that kind of thing. And it's just not for me, really. I'd rather just have a nice life, and run a great business, enjoy working with my clients, happy days. So I can kind of get the vibes. I can see why people do it, but I have a number of clients that are private equity backed, and the metrics that are put on them, the behaviors, the sort of challenge, it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for me. So I can sort of get that. So best of luck to people that do that.
Yeah, and also, linking to that topic, if you see them, like I would expect this year and beginning of the next one to, like, because the market is like all markets are, but our space also, it's kind of saturated of AI tools right now. Like, we're talking about hundreds, and many of those are VC backed. For example, as I told you, DeepRFP, I bootstrapped the company, so no risk there. But I see some companies doing something, similar things, or actually going after these enterprise deals. But anyhow, sort of trying to use AI for proposals on RFPs and stuff. And I don't think all of them are being able to close the many enterprise deals they need to survive the next round. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see who sort of survives that race for the enterprise deals. And I think that, if you see the sort of when these companies raise money, and sort of the typical window of 1.5 to 2 years they give you for the first sort of milestones for the next run. I think this will be the year where we see some of them actually winning the game, and just some of them just going bankrupt and closing the companies. So I hope maybe I would expect that in a year and a half we will have less players in that space. But anyhow, that's just my guess.
No, I could agree. It's usually the sort of thing when you get a sprint like this with a new technology or a new innovation, you do get it's sort of that Betamax versus VHS kind of thing, isn't it? That you'll find some will fall by the wayside, and it'll be interesting what happens for the clients that have signed up with the wrong ones that go bust when they've or close, because they've gone and put all their eggs in those baskets. It's a real question, that, I would say.
Yeah, and also this and I'm talking about personal experience now, is this gives us kind of an advantage, because like DeepRFP can really be focused on trying to lead on agents, lead on research and development, like trying to the last thing, see how to adapt to that, and don't worry much about sales or at least, of course, we do care about marketing and sales. But the thing is, we are not stressed by having to close those many deals this year, otherwise we are out of business. So this is like for the long run, since DeepRFP break even and started to generate more money than it spends, then it's just a matter of like this company can be here for the long term, and so that's also a nice advantage of not being in that race. And also I think that's of course my personal opinion, but can bring more value to the space and to the professionals and to the peers that are doing this stuff, because at least you have some companies that can be focused on fully taking advantage of AI to solve real use cases, and not so much the pressure of going after these big enterprise deals and being in that race. But yeah, anyhow, we will see.
Well, it's a nice segue. So we were going to talk next about what 2025 holds for DeepRFP, but more widely for AI in bidding more generally as well. What do you think the themes are? What do you think the next steps are, or the next innovations? Where are we going to take it in this game?
Yeah. So for sure, I believe AI agents are going to be important, a very big thing, because of how implementation is going to change with them. So and I think this is going to be like across the board, because and the main reason is because of how these agents fit into current workflows. So as I was telling you before, it really feels like you are working with a coworker in remote. You just ask for some task and you get the outputs, and you just don't need to do anything else. It's not like running tools or chatbots or copilots, where with copilots and chatbots you sort of need to micromanage them. But in this case, it's more like delegating tasks. And so I think that is going to be fitting better on most people's, most teams' way of working. So I think AI agents will drive implementation of AI, but also not only because AI will be more used because of agents, but also we have current limitations in AI systems. And I think it's important for everyone to know. But basically, there are like three main limitations we have with current state-of-the-art models. Okay, one is inputs. It's very easy to overwhelm AIs with too many inputs. So people have this idea of trying to pass the whole content library, and you just can't do that. You can, you need to be strategic about the inputs that go into each request in order to maximize performance. Then you have the limitation of outputs, which is sort of the length that you can generate in one run, which is sort of one thought stream of the AI. If maybe they are not thinking or whatever, but that's more like a philosophical debate. But anyhow, this idea of in one run, in one thought process, what they can generate, that's right now around 2 to 3 pages of content per run. And then you have the hallucination problem, which is some of these systems making stuff up, like using fake data, or use something like they don't know something, but they tell you they do, and they affirm some past project that wasn't there, etc. So these are the limitations you get with AI, generative AI, large language models, as currently they are, and this, you need to manage these limitations yourself when using tools or using chatbots. Now with agents, you can sort of orchestrate the process behind the scenes, so the user doesn't need to take care of any of these limitations, because you can select the inputs strategically behind the scenes depending on what the request was. You can generate full drafts doing these iterations, like maybe the AI is just doing 2 pages at a time, but you behind an AI agent, at least for example, what's happening with the one that we have, that draft proposals, is that you have this process when one AI is playing the manager role, sort of deciding the table of content, which winning points we want to use for each section, which inputs we want to consider for each section, all that stuff. And then you, that manager is calling AI writers to develop every section, and then you iterate on that process. But all this happens behind the scenes. So the user just uploaded the RFP, and now it's downloaded a full draft. So that's why I think AI agents are so powerful, because of the way of working with them, which is more like what we do nowadays, and also because you can build in the managing these workarounds limitations. So at least what we're going to do in this year is we're going to keep expanding the set of agents we have, and the use cases that they cover. And I think this is going to be like across the industry, like what's going to happen with tools. But also I wanted to tell you about, Jeremy, about a concept I've been exploring like the few last weeks. It's a concept that, to be honest, I still don't have a good name for it. But it's this idea of having a top layer interface where you don't really need even to run tools or agents, or it's just sort of you ask what you want to do, and this sort of virtual proposal manager is the one that has access to the whole kit of tools and agents, and then ensures that you provide the right inputs for what you want to do, and then runs the tools in the background and runs agents in the background, and sort of you stop having to interface with an application through this software interface, and you just talk to it, and it knows, sort of masters what to call and when to call it, and which documents, etc. So I don't know how to call that yet, but we have a prototype conceptually in the buildings, and I think this is well, right now this is just too much into research and development to say it's even a thing, but this is a concept I want to explore this year about this idea of and in other spaces, like for example, if you talk about personal computer, companies like Microsoft and all the big ones are exploring this concept of like, you have a computer, we have a lot of programs and tools, etc., but you could have sort of a layer of AI where you just ask for things, and that layer knows how to open your navigator, or how to draft an email, how to run that tool or this other tool, but you just interface the computer like through a conversation like. Anyhow, so that's what we're gonna focus on 2025. So sort of developing the agents a lot and investing there a lot, covering use cases, and also trying to, as always with DeepRFP, we are trying to go to the edge with this technology, and so exploring this concept of interfacing differently with a web application. This idea of you don't need to even care about where the tools are or which how to run each tool. You just ask for things, and then we like this AI layer takes care of what to run depending on what you want to do, etc. And of course, you can always access the traditional software application, if you will, and run the tools yourself or run the agents yourself. But sort of a way of reducing friction with AI, which I think is key for people to benefit from it. Is exploring this idea.
Sort of like an AI sommelier or something.
A compass. I was thinking about calling it a compass or a master, but yeah, it's still too early to give it a proper name.
No, fair enough. And what do you? Are there more other general themes beyond your business in the world of sort of AI with proposals that you're seeing? What are the themes for this year, do you think?
So the agents are right now big in every space. Many companies are exploring this idea of having sort of autonomous AIs doing tasks on behalf of people, with restrictions, of course, because of the limitations of the technology. You cannot have in proposals, you cannot have an AI to take over a full RFP and try to manage the whole process yet, because not smart enough and hasn't doesn't have the planning capabilities, etc. But anyhow, agents is being big, but also there is this debate on, is AI hitting a wall in terms of development and capabilities or not? And that's a debate that is still being argued about. We're gonna be the good news is that we will have some proof one way or the other in the first quarter of this year, because the last generation of models have been trained so far and are about to be released. We have an answer from OpenAI, but also XAI and other companies are building and training these last generation models. So we will see the new capabilities we get with those, and that is going to define, I think, is going to define the next few years in software and AI overall. Because if AI sort of hits a wall and stops having these emerging capabilities that have surprised everyone, then we are very much lacked or stuck with the intelligence that we have now. Yeah, models will get a little bit better, but it will be like sort of the same thing. And then everything is going to be focused on how to drive implementation, how to ease the use case experience, user experience, use cases, how to bring this AI to all the applications and software we use today. But it's not going to be like changing the approach that you already see in different tools and vendors. That's one option. Then the other option is like the exponential curve keeps up, and then if it keeps going, then nobody really knows, because it's gonna depend on the capabilities of what these models are able to. So imagine you get one model that is able to go through your RFP and through your library content, and then it's also able to communicate within your company and sort of becomes your virtual proposal manager, but in a sense that you don't really need to micromanage the whole process. So if you ever get that capability in AI systems, then the whole software industry is gonna sort of adapt to that, and probably the tools that we're gonna see at that point in time are not anything like DeepRFP today or any of the vendors in the space today, because of how big the leap in the capabilities of AI. But again, this is gonna depend on what happens. And the funny thing about this is like, I'm not sure enough people understand this, you know, in like overall or in general, but these systems haven't been designed to do any particular case. So we're talking about systems that have been about use training particular algorithms on huge amounts of data and give them crazy amounts of compute power, and then you start having these emergent capabilities. But no one designed the models that power ChatGPT to write proposals. That wasn't a design requirement or whatever. It's just like, okay, let's put like the whole internet into this thing, give like this many data centers to this thing, and this happens. And now this thing knows how to code, writes very well content, can sort of think, brainstorm with you, etc. And so the question is, what happens when you scale the next step? And nobody has the answer yet. Even we probably get some in the next few months, and that's gonna shape, in my opinion, that's gonna shape the whole industry, depending on what happens at the other side of the new generation models.
Interesting / terrifying. It's really fantastic, and as I'm getting a bit older, I guess, yeah, unnerving. But there you go. I think I've been managing the risk of our business in terms of exposure with this stuff for a while. We've been standing up AI proof businesses like property development stuff, and I focus these days, most people come to me and want me to teach them to write bids and stuff, and I do need a bit of help this year in developing some extracurricular modules on AI and how to interface with it generally, not product specific, in this space. So we're doing that at the moment, but actually I gravitate more towards capturing key account management and things where it's still about humans and relationships and building trust, etc. Although of course I'm interested in whether some of the vendors start to point AI to support that in terms of researching prospects, helping you develop your strategy propositions, understanding the personality DNA of the people we'll be interfacing with and who the real decision makers are and all of that kind of stuff. There's some of that going on in the CRM world, plugins to Salesforce, etc. But I'm interested what the interface will be by the time it gets to proposals, strategy wise.
Yeah. That's right, and that's sort of one of the main points right now is that AI is freeing up time everywhere, and many use cases are quick wins everywhere, and people that are using AI are getting free time back, and now that's sort of the newest equilibrium. Like, you're not gonna gain an advantage just because of that. Now, what matters is what you do with that time. That's gonna be what matters. And then you have this sort of debate on if you go for bidding more or you go for bidding better. And that's honestly, that's something that every company needs to answer, because sometimes it makes sense to bid more for more, because you have the capability to execute those, the capacity to execute those contracts, but also you have a huge competitive advantage, and you just need to bid more to win more contracts. That's not the most often case, but sometimes that's the solution. Most of the time, I think the wiser strategy is to invest that time in bidding better. And that bidding better, what it means is the sort of things that you have just described. For example, how we're going to capture better insights from customers and stakeholders to build into proposals, spend time there. Bidding strategy, and sort of game theory strategy, like where you position in terms of quality and scope, and then pricing, all that stuff, and also improving the content itself, like spending time on even if you are working with AI to improve that content, but spending time driving that process of just don't use what we already have, but improve that and feed that into the AI. And so it's gonna also a trend we are seeing right now is that more and more procurement and in live presentations and sort of live interviews. One of the reasons that's happening is because they are having a harder time to differentiate between good and bad vendors just based on the content because of AI. And and a new sort of and it's not super new field, but you could also invest the time on improving your sort of your skills on winning those deals that require a live presentation. And regarding technology, I agree. Like for example, for the sales part, like there is a paradox in sales, which is that the best sales people are very busy selling. So are the ones that input less content to CRMs because they are just too busy jumping from call to call, meeting to meeting, and no one takes them accountable because they are bringing them, more revenue than anyone else. So this type of sales rep that they start in the team and they don't capture insights in the CRM because they don't have the time, literally. And then CRMs gets populated with inputs from the average sales reps, which are probably the ones that have average insights on mediocre insights on clients. And so AI is called to change that, because if you could give that very good sales rep a way of, for example, just recording an audio note between meetings while driving, and then the CRM takes that audio note, digest it, and an AI that is specialized on that use case post those insights where they need to be, and so people in bidding and proposals can leverage those. So, and I think that's not going to come from vendors in RFP and proposals, more like it's going to be like the incumbents in CRMs. But I see hope for that big advancement there. And also across the process, like I think AI is going to unlock value in many of these steps. So it's not only about saving time, but you're going to get better insights and better strategies, etc. But again, what is going to determine the winners of the future, I think, is what you do with that free time. That's the advantage. Like what you're going to do with the free time that these automating tools and AI tools are giving you.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, actually. You've set some hairs running in my mind there. That's really interesting. Because I'm on my 16th client now, maybe 17th, actually, 17th, where when I've been working with their board or leadership team, particularly finance directors, chief execs, we've realized, looking at the data, that around 80% of their margin is coming from 20% of their clients, and then they have a few clients where they make some more money, and then a very long tail of clients when, if they actually calculate it effectively, which they very rarely do, if you wind in the cost of sale and looking after those clients, they're making a loss. And so if you cut the tail and just add a client or two to that list of the top clients, you'll smash your numbers to bits and have to bid a lot less. And you'll probably have higher. What we tend to find, the latest work we're doing, is what's in the DNA of the clients and the projects that are in that initial bulge, in the sort of bell curve, and it's the clients that engage early, that are good to work with, where you have a higher propensity for direct awards and negotiations rather than competitive tenders. So I think it could be really valuable that you release your time from working on tenders so much using AI, and then put more effort into your solutions to clients to make sure you deliver more value than anyone else, and then in how you look after those clients would be my natural reaction. But I'm going to do some more work on that, actually, mate. I think that's really interesting. If I was given more time, what would I do? It's probably those two things, but maybe some others.
Yeah, and that's a question that people need to answer themselves, and that's actually one of the top tips I've given, not only in DeepRFP, because I'm very active in, I basically talk proposals and technology all day long. So in my newsletter, jescartin.com, and also LinkedIn. But the thing is, one of the top tips I've been given the most is this idea of there's like two steps task or project. Is first analyze your bidding process, and when with analyze I mean like actually drawing diagram flow, like process where you have the inputs, step, outputs, and having that very clear, like what's happening when how you screen RFPs, what happens when someone says, okay, we're going for this RFP, the steps you take, have stakeholders and integrating contributors content, whatever you do in the process, like having that picture there. And then that's the first step. The second step is to understanding current capabilities and limitations of AI systems, which we have talked about today. But basically it's this idea of internalizing that computers can now read, understand, write, parse information like never before, plan, execute on tasks autonomously. Like those are capabilities that computers didn't have 2 years ago, and we need to sort of remind ourselves that that's something that we now have. Everyone has in the phone or the laptops. And so once you have those two clear steps, like your process on one hand, and you understand what AI is capable of or computers are capable of, then you can sort of put those together, and you go bottleneck after bottleneck, asking yourself, like, can AI help me with this particular bottleneck? Like, I'm doing this for every bit. Is there a way AI can help me with this particular step? It's probably yes, the answer. And then you just go for that, implement that. And so just by doing this, you're going to be ahead of most people in the space, and also better prepared to look for tools and to avoid being tricked by vendors marketing, because you have a clear idea of what you need, and you just want a solution for that bottleneck, which is your current bottleneck, etc. And then as a result of that, what happens is, like, you're gonna find yourself freeing dozens of hours every week, and then the next step is more like strategic, and it's a question that everyone needs to answer within the team, with the context of the company, etc. There is not one solution for all, which is this idea of what you're gonna do with that time, and that's a very important question to answer.
It is. It is. Thank you, sir. There's some really good thought-provoking stuff. I mean, 2025, in amongst other things, is the year of AI for me and my business. I have to say, I've been behind the curve, slightly fearful of it, and I need to pull my finger out. And just even in my marketing stuff, which I've taken great inspiration from you on, I have to say, with your email newsletters, etc., which people must sign up for, we'll come to. I think there's a lot of value to be had that can make me even more of a powerful David against these big Goliaths that I come up against all the time. So thank you very much. Good coaching, wise counsel. So where do people find you? Where can people follow you and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, if they want to follow, LinkedIn is the place. I share content there, engage in conversations, and that's also the easiest way to reach me. Just message me on LinkedIn. So that's one. Then if they are into insights, more like using to useful information for everyday, like to do better at proposals and bidding, then they can sign up for free to the newsletter. I send a couple of emails every week, and they can do that in jescartin.com with the J. And That's for free, and also it comes with a lot of perks as you subscribe. And I share some useful insights there, and also I share job positions and give some free resources. So it's like if you are looking just for resources and information, that's the place. And then if you are looking for tools, then the place is DeepRFP.com. That's the company page for the software as a service. Yeah, often what happens is you go to the page, get a free trial account. We have free trials there for 7 days. You can play with all the tools, no limits, and then you just decide if that's for you, or if you want to give it a try for a couple of months. Remember that you can cancel anytime. That this is not like the type of enterprise deal that's going to lock you in for 3 years or whatever. So those are like but I only would recommend to go to DeepRFP.com for people that are proactively looking for tools and testing what AI can do and testing this agents concept and that kind of stuff. So for tools, DeepRFP.com. For insights, Escartin.com.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time. It's been great to have you on. I'll follow with interest. And here's to 2025. It's going to be exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here.